sensation. When we meet, I feel like I'm on vacation. I think I finally find my best friend. Am I tripping or is this for real? Yeah, why don't we give it a go? Yeah, let's dive in a pool of love and swim.
Sometimes I feel my heart is dead. Maybe tonight, baby, babe, take our love instead. Sometimes I feel my heart is dead. coming my way. I know that we all gonna be alright. We gon' make it through if it takes us all night. No matter what the odds may bring our way, I can see the blessings coming our way, yeah. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way, our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way, yeah.
I've never known a love so steady. Even gold won't turn your tide. We flow together like an ocean, every low and every high. And I would have you anyway, dear, any way your heart could bear. Even if you had to leave me, I'd always be waiting here. Even when we are apart, I will keep you in my heart. And I wouldn't change a thing, even if I were the king. I've never known a brighter sunset, but every day I see it rise. I've never thought it could be better until I saw it in your eyes. Even when we are apart, I will keep you in my heart. I will hold the world at bay just to see you smile again. And when time begins to fade, I will love you just the same. And I wouldn't change a thing, even if I were the king.
I'm losing my mind for the sake of love. I've been trying to reveal it, what I've been so afraid of. Your coldness makes my heart go weak, so numb that I can barely speak. This pain keeps water in the sea. If I weren't so desperate to be free, I'd keep my distance, babe. The more that I know about you, the more that I want you, baby. They say that good love will yield the best from me. I know it to be true. This moment won't last forever. No remedies whatsoever. These Chin up, babe, tomorrow's a new year, little darling. Old Lane Sign and all the other cheers. In the moment feels just like you're here, little darling. Write your resolutions without fear, or leave them on the floor. Go and open a new door. Just keep blindly facing forward. Sun's the hottest at its core, and I warned you I get bored. There's too much to be explored, things that we cannot ignore. Drop the ball and be restored. Chin up, babe, tomorrow's a new year, little darling. Old Lane Sign and all the other cheers. Chin up, babe, tomorrow's a new year, little darling. Old Lane Sign and all the other cheers.
Warm nights, long drives, nothing here but moonlight. Raindrops on the red dust. It's never smelled so good. Lay by my side, keep your eyes wide. Watch all those shooting stars fly. It's after midnight, hold my head tight. We're so alive, just like fireflies in the shelter. All we need is love. All we need is love in the shelter. All we need is love. All we need is love. Sunrise in our eyes, so sweet to be far from home. Our hands stretched out the window, surfing the breeze as the radio plays. Miles keep rolling, we'll keep going. We can live this dream alive in the shelter. All we need is love. All we need is love in the shelter. All we need is love. All we need is love. The open road feels like home. We got no plans on where we're going. The open road feels like home. We got no plans. Who needs them though? The open road feels like home. We got no plans on where we go. The open road feels like home. We got no plans. Who needs them though? In the shelter. is love. All we need is love in this shelter. All we need is love. All we need is love.
I'm a mess, I'm sad, do it all myself. You never find me trying to be someone else. No, I don't care. I really, really don't care. If you didn't, then you might see it now. Just haunted by the ghost here in this heartbreak house. But I don't care. I really, really don't care. I wouldn't want to clear it up. It's the light and it's the shade. When the days fall hard for sticks and stones, let them ricochet. Oh, it's not love if it ain't disarray. And I don't ever wanna change it. Just because I'm falling doesn't mean I wanna be saved. So I float in the chaos and I won't come down, 'cause it feels like I'm myself. And it's this way. I'm awake, half asleep, yeah, I'm on the brink of an existential crisis. It's no more for me, no, I don't care. I really, really don't care. And I never think right before I speak, but I'm not gonna paint you a different picture of me. No, I don't care. I know you wish that I cared. Wouldn't want to clear it up. It's the light and it's the shade. When the days fall hard for sticks and stones, let them ricochet. Oh, it's not love if it ain't disarray. And I don't ever wanna change it. Just because I'm falling doesn't mean I wanna be saved. Oh, it's not love if it ain't disarray. And I don't ever wanna change it. Just because I'm falling doesn't mean I wanna be saved. So I float in the chaos and I won't come down, 'cause it feels like I'm myself. And it's this way. For a minute in the quiet, it feels like it was before. I get lost just for a moment, thinking I'm not where I am. And I didn't want to feel this way, tired of being out of place. Give me a one-way ticket out of here someplace. I know I can't be happy, it's not in my head. I can sit and cry about reasons why I'm in this mess, but what good is that? What a waste of breath. It's a fine line, thinking about the words unsaid and setting me free from my chest. I feel so low, I'm not myself. I feel so low, I'm not myself. Was there something in the wind? Was it meant to be pulled apart from everything I knew, like golden leaves when it's their time to fall? But I didn't want to feel this way, tired of being out of place. Give me a one-way ticket out of here someplace. I know I can't be happy, it's not in my head. I can sit and cry about reasons why I'm in this mess, myself. I'm not myself.
Tell me I'm the one you want. Tell me I'm the reason your heart beats and it won't stop. I wanna be the feeling you've been after all your life. Maybe is it too much to ask for a love just like that? The kind that never goes away. See forever in a day. I wanna be somebody who makes somebody else happy, happy. I wanna know somebody out there is glad that they have me, have me. Wanna call somebody mine who can see the good I can't see. Wanna know somebody's eyes, 'cause they're only looking at me. I wanna be somebody who makes somebody else happy, happy.
Tell me you don't wanna go. Say you wanna stay here with me. Girl, I gotta let you know that I don't see nothing wrong with staying up all night, chasing the sunrise. You know I'm being honest, girl. I'm trying to give you the kind that never goes away. See forever in a day. I wanna be somebody who makes somebody else happy, happy. I wanna know somebody out there is glad that they have me, have me. Wanna call somebody mine who can see the good I can't see. Wanna know somebody's eyes, 'cause they're only looking at me. I wanna be somebody who makes somebody else happy, happy.
I wonder who hurt you. I wonder who made you so mad. Tell me, where did you learn to be so negative? You're such a drag. What's it feel like never having no real life? I don't know how you deal. I can't imagine your pain. I'm just minding my business, but you're so in your feels. There's something wrong with your brain. 'Cause every time you talk it sound like blah, 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 blah. I'm just hearing blah, 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 blah. Every time you talk it sound like blah, 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 blah. I'm just hearing blah, 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 blah. Every time you talk it sound like who hurt you. I wonder who made you so mad. Tell me, where did you learn to be so negative? You're such a drag. What's it feel like never having no real life? I don't know how you deal. I can't imagine your pain. I'm just minding my business, but you're so in your feels. There's something wrong with your brain. 'Cause every time you talk it sound like blah, 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 blah. I'm just hearing blah, 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 blah. Every time you talk it sound like blah, 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 blah. I'm just hearing blah, 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 blah. Every time you talk it sound like blah. Your life must be so boring, boring out of your mind. Am I your entertainment? I promise I'm not even trying. Green really isn't your color. Please just give it a rest. If last time made you unhappy, wait till you see what happens next. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just hearing blah, 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 blah,
Everything okay?
Mais c'est pour pas jouer, il reste assis.
Il reste assis.
Il reste assis. Ah, ok.
Ça nous ferait perdre trop de temps. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Claire George and I'm Head of Media Relations at Europol. We are here today to present the findings of Europol's new report on the most threatening criminal networks in the EU. To do so, I have here Europol's Executive Director, who is joined by the Belgian Presidency of the Council of the EU and the European Commission. We will start with remarks from each of our principals before moving on to a short Q&A. Let's get right into it. I would like to give the floor to the Belgian Minister of Home Affairs, Annelies Verlinden. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone, dear colleagues, dear members of the press. Thank you for being present here at this press conference today, because we are thrilled to host this landmark event to unveil Europol's public report titled Decoding the EU's Most Threatening Criminal Networks. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are introducing a new tool in the battle against serious and organized crime, a testament to the power of unity and innovation within the European Union. This report represents a significant milestone for our Belgian presidency and indeed for the entire European community, reflecting our unwavering commitment to ensuring the safety and security of our citizens. As you all know, combating serious and organized crime is a top priority for the Belgian presidency, fully endorsed by the EU Justice and Home Affairs Council and a key action in the Commission's EU roadmap against drug trafficking and organized crime. The illegal drug market is one of the main sources of violence within the EU and also one of the main sources of income for criminal organizations in the EU. Also in Belgium, recent events have once again highlighted the adverse impact of criminal networks in our society. Their actions have become more visible and directly threaten the physical safety of our citizens. Our youth are increasingly at risk, with more minors being drawn into these criminal networks. They also pose a significant threat to legitimate businesses, institutions, and the broader European economy. Money laundering and corruption undermine the rule of law and fundamental rights, eroding public trust and jeopardizing the right to safety. Since 2021, the Belgian Federal Police has spearheaded the EU priority on high-risk criminal networks, developing a methodological approach to identifying the most threatening networks. Their relentless effort, supported by the European Commission and of course by Europol, has culminated in the report we are presenting to you today. This unique data set, compiled through the tireless collaboration of all EU member states and 17 of Europol's third partner countries, presents an in-depth profile of no less than 821 of the most menacing criminal networks. For the first time ever, we have centralized data detailing their activities, nationalities, modus operandi, and cross-border connections, an unparalleled achievement in the realm of international law enforcement. And this is more than just a report. It is a groundbreaking leap forward, offering vital insights that will significantly enhance our collective understanding of criminal networks. It lays the foundation for the development of policy measures at both national and EU levels and for more informed tactical and operational decisions, enabling us to target these networks with unprecedented precision. We have to employ a comprehensive strategy that spans from prevention and investigation to prosecution and asset confiscation. This approach is crucial at both national and international levels. And as we have emphasized before, we need a network to fight a network. In order to do this, we need to have a clear view on these networks and to ensure that our national and European law enforcement agencies have a comprehensive understanding of what are the most threatening criminal networks affecting the EU's internal security. This is where the report that we are presenting today plays a crucial role. Of course, it's not the first report by Europol, nor from national agencies on criminal networks. In the past, Europol has already published several versions of the SOCTA, the Serious and Organized Crime Threat Assessment, in which the threat of organized crime has been described looking at the most threatening criminal markets and criminal phenomena. However, the overview provided by the SOCTA remains incomplete without a deeper analysis of the capabilities and the intentions of the key players behind these crimes. As such, today's report is an important complementary image as it aims to bring the light to the characteristics of those criminal networks that pose the highest threat to the EU's internal security. The report describes how the most threatening criminal networks are organized, what criminal activities they engage in, and how and where they operate, as well as assessing which of their characteristics heighten their threat of our internal security. It's also important to understand that member states contributed data on groups active in their own country, but also contributed data of groups that were also active in other countries. Europol, for the first time, has stored all of this data in one central database. Katrien de Bolle, Europol's executive director, will present you with the main findings of the report, but I would like to highlight 3 key facts and figures, insights of the most threatening criminal networks active in Belgium. First of all, the report identifies over 100 of the 821 networks as active in Belgium, predominantly in drug trafficking, especially cocaine. It also identifies groups engaged in smuggling migrants to the UK, orchestrating large-scale online frauds and exercise frauds, such as cigarette smuggling. Additionally, a smaller portion of these networks is involved in human trafficking and sham marriages. While this report is very... Sorry. I missed one card, sorry. The second point I wanted to highlight is something that's very interesting, and that is something our police will look further into, is that our neighboring countries have pointed out that there's also networks active in Belgium that are involved in extortion and racketeering. These criminal networks try to access and control some local entrepreneurs and traders, which often include cash-intensive businesses, such as restaurants or night shops. If intimidation fails to work, they resort to threats or violence, including physical violence or destruction of premises, to achieve their goals. And thirdly, most criminal networks active in Belgium comprise members of mixed nationalities, predominantly Belgians and Dutch, also with individuals from Albania, other Western Balkan countries, Turkey, Morocco, and beyond. While this report is a very important achievement in itself, it's just the beginning. Further steps indeed are required in the coming months and years. Firstly, the valuable data collected must be extensively utilized by our law enforcement agencies. Now, for the first time, information on these networks is consolidated in Europol's database, accessible to all member states. Investigations and operations can now target the most threatening criminal networks more effectively, focusing on high-value individuals and from there working to dismantle the entire network. They should also address the wider infrastructure that underpins major criminal activities, including money laundering and firearm trafficking. Secondly, it's crucial to enhance international cooperation, now more than ever, to address the borderless nature of the most dangerous criminal networks, both within the EU as within the non-EU partners. As the most threatening criminal networks are also agile and have integrated themselves into our society, we cannot fight them in an isolated way. Law enforcement must strengthen their partnerships with other actors to form comprehensive, all-encompassing approaches that tackle the roots of serious and organized crime, such as the administrative approach. And thirdly, as this mapping exercise, which centers on the perspective of the criminal actors, represents the first of its kind, it should pave the way for ongoing structured mapping efforts that incorporate the lessons learned. The first edition of the report already brings a clear added value, and I hope that all the EU member states will further invest in a permanent mechanism to collect and analyze information on the most threatening criminal networks. Today, as we present this landmark report, we are not just sharing findings. We are signaling a new era in our fight against organized crime. An era marked by innovation, collaboration, and steadfast commitment to ensuring the safety and security of the European Union and its citizens. I would like to thank and congratulate Europol, the Belgian Federal Police, and all the member states' law enforcement agencies for their contribution, their dedication, and hard work on this report. Together, we are turning the tide against organized crime, safeguarding our communities and securing a safer future for the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I would now like to turn to the European Commissioner for Home Affairs, Ylva Johansson.
Thank you very much. The threat from the organized criminal groups is huge. It's one of the biggest threats we have towards our societies. It's also a threat towards our security, towards our cohesion in society, towards our children, our youngsters, and towards our democracies. So the threat is huge. And we see it every day in our member states. In Sweden last year, there were 350 criminal shootings. We had recently an arrest of 700 arrests related to drug raids in France. We have seen things in Belgium. We've seen it in all member states. So I think this is very timely and it's very necessary with this new report on the most threatening criminal networks. I think that you will hear from Catherine de Boll, but I will also recommend you to read the report because it's very interesting. There are a lot of interesting things in there. We can see how these most threatening criminal networks are very violent, and they often combine violence with corruption. We see that quite more than half of them are related to drug trafficking. And what was new information for me was how resilient they are, how they are able to continue their businesses even when their leaders are in prison. We had 1/3 of those that are so resilient that have been acting for more than 10 years. And also what was a bit new information for me was how quite a big proportion use this end-to-end control over their whole business sector. So I think there's a lot of good and important information in this report. And I think also that if and when the criminal networks have this end-to-end control of their criminal businesses, we need an end-to-end police cooperation to be able to fight them. And that's why it's important to have this information and the knowledge on how they are organized. We used to say that it takes a network to fight a network, and this is really true. But today is also a day to be very proud because we are doing a lot in this area. And I think this report also shows that we are on the right track. What we have been doing with the launch of the roadmap to fight organized crime and drug trafficking, what we have been doing recently together with the Belgian presidency to launch the European Ports Alliance, with our cooperation that is increasing with Latin America, both on a national level from Belgium, but also on European level, where we are also negotiating new status agreement for Europol with several Latin American countries. We have, during my mandate, strengthened the mandate for Europol with new resources also, new capabilities. We have new possibilities for the exchange of information and data. We have the PRIM agreed, the PRIM 2. We have the e-evidence agreed. We have a lot of steps that we have been taking. And I think it's necessary, but the good thing is that we are on the right track. The Belgians are doing a lot to step up the fight against the organized criminal groups and the drug trafficking. And I would like to congratulate you, Annelies and Paul, for all you are doing on the national level, but also thanking for what you are doing on the European level. Putting this so high on the European agenda during your presidency is very welcome. But I think today is also really the day to thank and congratulate Catherine de Boll and Europol, because here we have the good cooperation and all this data being sent from all the member states, but also from 17 third countries. And this shows how trusted Europol is. And under your leadership, Catherine, this is really where Europe has been more and more trusted partner. And that is necessary to be able to gather this data and to do the analysis. And you are trusted because all the member states, but also third country partners, realize that you have this added value. You can do things that they can't do alone. So I think I would really like to congratulate you personally, but the whole team behind the report for this report, but also shows the big trust that is put into Europol from different stakeholders. We will soon hear on all the what's in the report, and I just want to say that, of course, as also Annelies just mentioned, this is not the end. We have started on a very intense work against the organized criminal groups and the drug trafficking, and we will continue to do so because it's necessary. I looked into my mission letter that I got 5 years ago when I started in this mandate, and I can say that I have really over-delivered when it comes to security and it comes to the fight against organized crime. Why? Because it's necessary. Because reality is here, and the organized criminal networks are here, and they are strong, and they are very threatening. So it's necessary that we step up, and we are stepping up, and we are delivering. So I'm quite confident that based also on the facts that we have in this report, we will be successful in the fight against these threatening criminal networks. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would now like to give the floor to Europol's Executive Director, Catherine de Boll.
Good morning to you all, Commissioner Johansson, Commissioner Reinders, Minister van Tichelt, Minister Verlinden, Commissioner General of the Belgian Federal Police, colleagues. What is this report about? Over the last 12 months, a group of top Europol experts and analysts, they have been carrying out an in-depth exploration of the ecosystem of serious and organized crime in the European Union. And as the Criminal Information Hub, Europol welcomed this tasking by the Belgian presidency, Minister Verlinden, van der Linden and Minister van Tichelt, and the European Commission as a part of the EU roadmap to fight organized crime. And today we present to you the key findings of this groundbreaking report, which aims at decoding the most threatening criminal networks in the EU. It is the most detailed study on criminal networks ever undertaken in the European law enforcement community. And this study, as mentioned already by Minister van der Verlinden and Commissioner Johansson, it's based on a wealth of operational and strategic information on organized crime. Europol gathers this intelligence in the context of its regular support to criminal investigations. And in addition, what we did is we performed a unique and targeted data collection effort to achieve an unprecedented intelligence picture on criminal networks, which is now presented. All the EU member states contributed, partner countries contributed and provided intelligence on what they consider to be the most threatening criminal networks in the EU. With the 27 member states, we agreed on a dedicated methodology and a set of indicators to complete this report. And I would like to thank all the national law enforcement agencies for their contributions and input. So, what have we learned? We have singled out 821 most threatening criminal networks active today in the EU. We know who they are, how they are organized, what criminal activities they engage in, how and where they operate, with whom they cooperate, which other criminal networks they compete or contend with, and which countermeasures they use against police and judicial authorities. Today we can say that the Europol's assessment makes the invisible visible and decodes the inner working of criminal networks. Let me now come to the key findings. It is a fact that the European Union's internal security is threatened by criminal networks harming our societies. These 821 most dangerous criminal networks and their 25,000 members commit crimes for profit and are capable of operating in multiple countries simultaneously. They are active in a range of crime areas, from drug trafficking to fraud, property crime, migrant smuggling, or trafficking in human beings. Half of them are involved in drug trafficking. Clustering these groups around predefined characteristics, as was done in the past, is no longer possible and would not reflect the reality. Europol's report decodes the fundamentals of the most threatening criminal networks, and these networks are agile, borderless, controlling, and destructive. The letter A stands for agile. Criminal networks, they maximize their opportunities in the legal world. 86% of the most threatening criminal networks make use of legal business structures. They infiltrate companies at a high level, or they set up their own legal business structures, most often in the EU. The sectors most vulnerable to infiltration by organized crime are construction, the hospitality industry, and logistics. These legal business structures are instrumental to launder criminal money, and money laundering is most often done through real estate and cash-intensive businesses. The longer they are active, the more legal business structures they can set up, and this makes them stronger and helps them to remain under the radar. This growth and survival strategies allow more than a third of the most threatening criminal networks to maintain their power and influence over very long periods in time, even longer than 10 years. The most threatening criminal networks are borderless. All of the 821 criminal networks are active across borders. No member state is immune. It is a multinational environment. Among the 25,000 suspects, we find 112 nationalities. Most groups are composed of multiple nationalities, and only 1/3 is composed of a single nationality. As we already knew, most groups have connections that extend beyond the borders of the EU, particularly to countries of the EU neighborhood. But a vast majority, 76% of the criminal networks, maintains a strong geographical focus and do not extend their core business activities too broadly. We call them glocal criminal networks. These networks are controlling. It is clear from our analysis that the most threatening groups try to control as much as possible all their activities and truly specialize in a single criminal area. For the most threatening groups, we also observe changes in some key trends. Polycriminality is rather the exception. Crime as a service that is outsourcing certain activities to other groups is limited and happens mainly for very specialized work, such as document counterfeiting, or within the area of complex online cyber frauds, or for the delivery of firearms. Control works towards the outside, but also towards the inside by reinforcing group cohesion. And this peculiarity of cohesion that brings a network together can be achieved through multiple avenues. Sometimes it is linked to the type of crime, sometimes it is the language, or the cultural background, or nationality, or simply the personality of the members. As a result, most of these groups are well established in terms of their influence and dominance in certain criminal markets. Where are the leaders? For over 80% of the networks, their leaders reside in the country of the core criminal activity. But in 6% of the cases, the leaders are outside of the EU. In most of these cases, to escape actions from the law enforcement authorities, these leaders continue to control and to coordinate their networks from places like the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, South America, and others. And for the D, the criminal networks are destructive. Criminals do not operate in an isolated criminal underworld, but they impact directly EU citizens' lives. More than 70% of the criminal networks resort to corruption. Criminal infiltration undermines some of the essential functions of state institutions and the private businesses. In addition, the power and influence of criminal networks in certain parts of the EU have serious social ramifications. Citizens fear the consequences of reporting crime to the police and feel pressured into complying. Their destructive nature is also made obvious by the high levels of violence of the networks active in drug trafficking, by the enlistment of vulnerable youngsters, and by the high number of victims of exploitation and frauds, which is a serious cause of concern. In conclusion, 822 networks is a high number, but all of these are today under the radar of law enforcement and under investigation at national and/or international level. With joint investigations into encrypted communications and a dedicated data collection effort done over the past months, we have discovered what in the eyes of the criminals should never have been discovered. With this list of 821 networks, we are now much better equipped to further tackle and disrupt organized crime. This report brings real added value to the fight against serious and organized crime in the EU, and ultimately it will contribute to the safety of our European citizens. First, it helps policymakers and law enforcement to make informed police and operational policy and operational decisions to tackle criminal networks. And second, this data, now centralized at Europol, will assist the national law enforcement authorities to better target and conduct their cross-border international criminal investigations. However, to be effective, police investigations need to overcome these criminal networks' agility and resilience. We must tackle their most destructive aspects head-on. Today, this can only be achieved through a culture of European police coordination and cooperation. This is what Europol and the Member States' law enforcement agencies are promoting every day. I would like to thank specifically the European Commission, Commissioner Johansson, for all your support and all your initiatives in this area, and also Commissioner Reinders for all the support in this area. And I would also like to thank the Belgian presidency for putting this very high on the European agenda. Only a network can defeat a network, and that is what we are doing. We are fighting against these criminal groups on a daily basis to make sure that security is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I would now like to turn to the Belgian Minister of Justice, Paul van Tichelt.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, dear colleagues, Ilva, Annelies, et Didier. Thank you also to the Commissioner General and the responsibles for the Federal Police of being here. Thank you, the Drugs Commissioner, for being here, and thank you also for the collaborators of Catherine of Europol for being here. What brings us together here, ladies and gentlemen, is of course our work. But it's more than our work, it's our belief that we can break the backbone of the criminal gangs, that we can break the backbone of organized crime, our conviction that we can break their business model. And we have to do that in order to protect our citizens, because we cannot accept corruption, we cannot accept violence, we cannot accept that organized crime is poisoning our legal economy. We cannot accept that they are threatening our port personnel. We cannot accept all of this, and that is what we are here. And fighting organized crime, ladies and gentlemen, is in fact, it's really simple, because it begins with a good information position. Information, information, information is key. And until now, every country had its own criminal oversight or criminal insight. And now, for the first time in history, in fact, this is really an important moment, we have a European oversight thanks to the work of Europol. And this is really so important, and it is important not to have the information, but it is important to do the right things with the information. Now we can tailor our approaches even better. We can coordinate our tactical approach. We can coordinate our operational investigations better. And in order to do so, the Belgian presidency put also on the agenda, in collaboration with the European Commission, a network of specialized prosecutors. And this network of specialized prosecutors that we are putting in place can use this European mapping in order to coordinate their actions on a European level, just to avoid overlap, just to avoid that investigators in Sweden and Belgium are investigating on the same network. Now that this mapping is finalized, dear colleagues, we cannot be complacent. We can never be complacent, because there is still violence, there still is organized crime, too much organized crime, so this data set must remain dynamic and be continuously updated. And voilà, as Catherine already stressed and underlined, 86% of the criminal organizations are characterized by the keyword agile, and we must be agile ourselves to combat these networks. So it takes a network to defeat a network. I would like to add now, it takes an agile network to defeat an agile network. I would briefly like to zoom in, dear people, on the Belgian situation according to the Europol mapping. It was already mentioned by Annelies. Of the 821 networks, more than 100 of them are active in Belgium, and the report clearly confirms what we see on the national level too, is that the vast majority of these networks are active in drug trafficking, most of them of course in cocaine trade, but we cannot be blind for other drugs. Many of these gangs traffic in all kinds of drugs, including, let's not forget that, synthetic drugs. We are seeing synthetic drugs more and more in Europe, and we see even stronger and stronger synthetic drugs, and we see thus more dangerous synthetic drugs. We have images of the United States of the so-called zombie drug. The zombie drug, ladies and gentlemen, is also present in Europe, in Belgium, in the Flanders, near the coast. We have a zombie drug called Flakka, which is really destroying human lives. That's what this is about. Just this week, in a small village in the Kempen in Lille, near to the most beautiful city in the world, Antwerp, 3 people lost their lives in a drug lab, and they were producing, as it seems, synthetic drugs and probably died from the toxic fumes. So the rise of the synthetic drugs, not only the fight against cocaine, but also the rise of synthetic drugs is and remains a big challenge in the whole European Union. And we know that Belgium and the Netherlands, they play a very important role in this production of synthetic drugs with the precursors. Is that the right word in English? Yes, I think the precursors coming from the East, from Russia, from China, from India. When we look at the nationalities, ladies and gentlemen, we see that most criminal networks that are active in our country are composed of mixed nationalities. We have, of course, often Belgians and Dutch people, but also Albanians, Moroccans, Turks, Italians, and other nationalities. The Mokro Mafia became a notion in Belgium and the Netherlands last 10 years. The Mokro Mafia mostly consists of networks of Belgian and Dutch people of Moroccan origin. They mainly specialize in the import of cocaine, and they are active in Antwerp and in Brussels. These networks are mainly controlled from Spain, from the United Arab Emirates, and Morocco, of course. Furthermore, the Albanian mafia is well represented in Belgium. We already knew that after the Sky ECC hack. The Sky ECC was the communication system used by organized crime, and Albanian was one of the most common languages in the Sky ECC messages after English. Croatian was also a major language, and they operate in family networks, are focused mainly on cocaine trafficking, cannabis production, and human trafficking. The Chat trial is currently underway in the Justitia building, in the formerly belonging to the NATO. This is the largest drug trial ever in our country. Many of the 124 defendants have Albanian nationality, and the breakthrough in this investigation led to a lot of high-profile arrests in Albania, and the cooperation between our country and Albania became possible also via Europol. We have an operational task force with Albania, which makes the collaboration possible. And the vacuum, the void that was created by these arrests against Albanian mafia is now filled by, we are starting to see that by the mafia coming from France, from Marseille, due to the reports of our police and the federal public prosecutor. Italian mafia is also active in our country, Cosa Nostra in Liège and Hainaut, and 'Ndrangheta in Limburg, in the east of our country. Decisions are mainly taken in Belgium. In Italy, money laundering and financial fraud are their specialities. For a long time, ladies and gentlemen, 'Ndrangheta was the most closed and difficult to prosecute of the Italian mafias. But once again, thanks to the Sky ECC investigations and thanks to the Belgian police and justice, we managed to deal a significant blow to this network last year in 2023, with more than 120 arrests interests in Europe. So that's the main thing for the Belgian criminal side, Mokro Mafia, Albanian Mafia, and Italian Mafia. We know, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that many of the leaders of these gangs are located not in Belgium, but abroad, outside the European Union. For example, it has mentioned a lot last week, the United Arab Emirates. Lately, cooperation between our country and the United Arab Emirates, it's starting to accelerate. Two leaders of criminal gangs, two presumed leaders of criminal gangs, were recently extradited, one last year, at the end of last year, and the second last week. And they will not be the last. And also Turkey and Morocco are starting to better collaborate with us. And however, European countries must exert much more pressure as a diplomatic bloc on these third countries. And that is what our country advocates for in the framework of the European presidency. We proposed this to the member states, my fellow justice ministers. We need to make more concrete agreements on this. We must stand united against these countries in order that they better collaborate with us. These were some points that I would like to add from the Belgian point of view. I would like to thank Europol, and I would like to thank the European Commission, Ilva and Didier, for putting this on the agenda and for making their roadmap. This is a very important guideline for all the European member states in order to tackle organized crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I'd now like to give the floor to the European Commissioner for Justice, Didier Reynders.
Thank you and good morning. I want first of all to congratulate Europol and in particular Catherine de Boll and her team for such a report, and it's also due to the real emphasis put on such a kind of situation and the difficulties that we have to have a clear vision about the criminal networks, the emphasis put on that by the Belgian presidency. And I want to thank the two ministers, Annemie and Paul, for that, because it was, since the beginning of the presidency, a real pressure to go forward. I don't want to repeat what was said about the report, so just to say that the findings presented in today's report have obvious implications on our justice systems. And I will say that the most pressing question this result confronts us with is whether not only the police forces, but also our justice systems are strong enough or as well equipped as they can be to handle the criminal threats identified in this report. And during the meeting of EU justice ministers in March, Paul, we were confronted with a stark reality. The pervasive threat posed by organized criminal networks capable of threatening both judges and prosecutors, and sometimes ministers, and interfering in all national justice systems. This troubling reality needs to be addressed. Let me use this opportunity to highlight some of our ongoing initiatives in combating organized crime in such a way and from a rule of law angle, in fact. First, we are currently engaging in dialogue with national associations of judges and prosecutors about the risk of intimidation and threats in their countries. And I will say we have the same problem at the European level, with some threats on the members of the European Public Prosecutor Office in Luxembourg. Second, we have explored the past measures taken by member states aimed at mitigating the risk of interference by criminal groups in national justice systems, which can include how judges and prosecutors are vetted, for example, and you have some vetting systems in the different member states and candidate countries too. And lastly, we have also issued recommendations on the security vetting of judges in certain member states as outlined in our rule of law report, and we are doing that also with the candidate countries and some partner countries. It is therefore imperative to ensure that judges and prosecutors can carry out their work free from intimidations and threats or attempts to compromise their professional integrity by bribery. This is the only way they can effectively fight organized crime. This is one angle we are working on with the member states, and I said also at the EU level. The second aspect of our ongoing efforts concerns the more threatening criminal networks that are running borderless criminal operations. We are already looking at the new ways of working with international partners, for example, by expanding the scope of operational coordination with partners, in particular through means of joint investigation teams. This is an existing tool that works very well, and there are many examples of this success with a good cooperation at the judicial level between the different prosecutors. In addition, I'm fully committed to making sure more cooperation agreements with third countries will be signed, provided they guarantee a high level of protection for fundamental rights, including privacy and data protection. We need all the time to have a balanced approach about security on one side, but also privacy, and data protection, and individual rights on the other side, and the rule of law. This is something that I underlined to EU justice ministers recently in our meeting, Paul. And later today, we will actually announce the signature of an international agreement on judicial cooperation between Eurojust and a third country. In the European Union, it is crucial that we adequately use valuable expertise in fighting organized crime that already exists within the Union. This is why I'm pleased to announce that the European Commission will be supporting the proposal for a new judicial network focusing on organized crime, including high-value targets. There's a proposal coming from the Belgian presidency, and Paul, you know that we want to work together on this. We expect this network to be anchored at Eurojust. It will pool specialized prosecutors and judges who can exchange information, discuss common investigation and prosecution strategies, and agree on how to coordinate operational work and to dismantle criminal networks. Its work will be linked to the finding of the Europol report, and is a good basis to start some kind of different joint investigation team on the basis of the mapping that we have now of the different networks and the presence in member states and third countries. Lastly, this initiative marks an important step in the new roadmap led by my colleague Ylva Johansson to combat drug trafficking and organized crime. It is therefore of the utmost importance that we join forces to untangle the webs of criminal networks across the EU and beyond. And together we can effectively tackle organized crime. You know that if there are a lot of work done by the law enforcement authorities, the police force at national level with Europol, at the end it's also very important for the capacity in the justice system to absorb all this work and to go to convictions and to go not only to investigation, but prosecution and trial and condemnations. And that's very important. And I thank you once again to the Belgian presidency and Europol for this remarkable joint effort. These are extremely useful findings that will guide our work going forward. It will be useful for the judicial cooperation in Eurojust, and I'm sure that we will start new, I said, joint investigation team of such a basis. It will be also very useful for the European Public Prosecutor Office, because you know that we have a sort of VAT fraud, just to give an example, with a huge amount of money concerned and European money in such a case. So thank you very much for that, but you see that we need to avoid a bottleneck between the law enforcement authorities and the justice system, so we need to work together.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will now move on to the Q&A. We will only be taking questions from the audience. So I have a colleague over there with a microphone. I please ask you to keep today's questions on the report. And if you could please mention your name, the name of the media for which you work, and to whom the question is addressed. So, hands up. Yes.
Thank you very much. Silvia Ayuso from El País newspaper from Spain. My question is probably to Mrs. Catherine de Boll, but anyway, you've mentioned agile is one of the key characteristics of these criminal networks. Now that you've exposed them, my question is, how confident or how worried are you maybe that this list, I mean, this mapping of these criminal networks might get quickly obsolete because they might know what they know now what you know, so they know how to change in order to keep invisible. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Yes, it's very important for us, for the law enforcement community, to have the intelligence picture right. You can compare it with, you go to the doctor for an X-ray and then you go for an MRE to have the diagnostic right. So this is what we did. We have with the SOCTA the overview of what is existing on criminal networks, but we really needed, and I would like to thank the Belgian presidency and the Commission again for that, an overview of what are now the most threatening groups in the European Union. We have a good view on what they are doing. Of course, this work is not at the end. And you say that criminal networks know what we know. It's not in the public version of the report. We know a lot, and this information will be available to the member states who are responsible for the information sharing with us, and they will start with actions against these groups to tackle them and to take them down. But it's a work in progress. That's also what the ministers said. We will continue to update our intelligence picture on a permanent basis to see what are the evolutions, which countermeasures are they taking, and what can we do to prevent the growth, in fact, of the criminal networks.
Moving on to the next question. We'll do the right.
Thank you. Elisa Bohn for Politico. My question is for Mr. Reinders. The report says that 71% of criminal organizations rely on corruption, yet the EU Commission has refused expanding the European Prosecutor's Office remit and budget in the sense that it could tackle the issue. Why? And also, how can you achieve your goals of tackling corruption when there's only 6 months left for the Commission?
No, first of all, you know that we have put forward a new strategy. It's more on the responsibility of my colleague Ylva Johansson that we have put forward such a strategy about corruption, and I don't want to enter into the details of what was in such a strategy. But with the European Public Prosecutor Office, you have seen that in 3 years' time, so in the preparation of the installation of the PPO and then in the functioning now since more than 2 years, we have increased the budget significantly, and very clear that it was needed to do that, to give more and more budget. And we will continue to discuss with the Council and the Parliament about the possibility to increase such a capacity to act. But what I said is first that we need to take into account the threats on the EPPO itself. So we have taken some measures in Luxembourg with the national authorities, but we need to think maybe about other kind of protection, not only the physical protection, because there are some threats through violence, but also the cyber security of the system that we have put into place in Luxembourg in connection with all the delegate prosecutors in the member states. But then to make a new progress, the most important element is to work together, and not only with the PPO for some kind of activities, but maybe with some, I said, joint investigation teams. So in Eurojust, you know that it's very efficient. We have an important one, you know, that about Ukraine, about the international crimes in Ukraine, but there are many others, joint investigation team. It's an independent decision of the different prosecutors to do that in the different member states. But when we are doing that, of course, we have the capacity to exchange more information, not only coming from the report, but coming also from the different investigations at the national level. But you're right, we need to invest more in such a kind of approach. And first of all, to avoid what I said, a bottleneck between the way to collect many informations in different investigations by the police forces, the law enforcement authorities, and then the capacity to come with that to the justice system. It's not specific to the criminal networks that we have presented today. It's a question in general, but it's true that here we will have to invest more. And I'm sure that, to conclude, the proposal of the Belgian presidency that will support to have a real network also of prosecutors and judges at the European level to tackle the problem like we are doing. We have seen that with the law enforcement authority will be important. But the budget will be of the essence, and you know that we try to protect more and more the European budget too. Not only to protect different kind of other financial interests, but also the financial interest of the EU. Is the reason why we have the European Public Prosecutor Office, is the reason why we have other procedures too. But it's true, money will be a real issue, and we'll continue to discuss with the co-legislators about that in the preparation of the next budgets.
Thank you, and I believe Commissioner Johansson wishes to add something.
Yes, I will be very short. Just to say that we are implementing the anti-corruption strategy. We have presented a new legislation to strengthen the anti-corruption legislation significantly in the EU. And already the European Parliament has their position, and I know that the Belgian presidency is prioritizing to get a Council general approach as soon as possible during the Belgian presidency. And I hope to be able to conclude the trilogues on this during my mandate. Can I also mention that we have also the rule of law report is under the responsibility of Didier, but I am responsible for the anti-corruption part of that report, and now we also have these recommendations that we have into the report, which is really important, not at least when it comes to the anti-corruption area.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next question here, microphone is on its way.
Thank you. Max Ramsey from Bloomberg. Two questions, if I may. The first for Executive Director De Bolle. I wondered if you could just talk a little bit about the kind of action points that come out of this, how this is going to inform, how this report and this mapping is going to inform tackling these networks specifically. And then a broader question for the panel on the issue of money laundering. We often talk about following the money and the need to confiscate assets and tackle criminal organizations in that way. And there's a lot in this report about that, about the use of legal business structures, how they're laundering money. How do you think that it needs to be, we need to, I guess, increase or tackle better this issue of following the money and confiscating criminal assets going forward?
Thank you for the question. One of the key messages in the report is we made the invisible visible, and the message to the most threatening criminal networks is you can't hide anymore. We know that you are disrupting the security and the democracy, and we know that you are not respecting rule of law, and we know that you are interfering in our legal business structures. So the 821 networks, we know them, we know whom they are. We will share this list of networks with the member states who have these networks on their territory. And then in accordance with the legal framework of Europol, the countries themselves, they will decide which countries they will share this information on the most threatening networks. Then on member state level, the law enforcement community and the justice authorities will decide whether or not to launch supplementary investigations, how they will tackle this. And of course, Europol always stands ready to offer the platform for cooperation, to offer the forensic support, to offer the analysis support, and even if needed, to do the coordination between the different member states. So we need these insights from the report to make sure that we are on the right track to tackle the right networks that are destabilizing, in fact, the rule of law in the European Union.
When it comes to the, if I may, when it comes to the follow the money approach, that's a good question. I think it begins with realizing ourselves that our results in confiscating criminal assets, that the results are not good enough, that we can do better in that field. We all know that. It was also stated in the SOCTA reports by Europol. And how do we have to do that? Yeah, our approach is maybe too much often author-oriented. We have to be oriented more, follow the money-oriented. So we try to do that on a Belgian basis. We have to do that in an international way because, these networks, they hide their money, their criminal assets all over the world. So it requires intensive international collaboration. There, Europol and Eurojust can help us. And to give you one example, I already mentioned the United Arab Emirates. Some of our high-value targets are still there with their money, of course. So, and I was in the United Arab Emirates 3 weeks ago, and I asked them to collaborate with us in this field too, in order to seize and confiscate criminal assets. And we have a legal basis for that. We have a treaty Treaty on Mutual Legal Assistance. Voilà, that's the right word in English, MLA, and this treaty permits this kind of collaboration. And then we have to make concrete agreements about asset sharing, etc. And we have to do the same with countries like Morocco, Turkey. So this is very intensive, but that's the only way to do it. Hard work.
Minister Verlinden.
To do it first.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that in Belgium as well, and the National Drug Commissioner is here, we decided last year to invest this year an additional 10 million euros in mainly the follow the money approach for the activities of the Drugs Commissioner and her team. Because indeed we do realize that it's not only the real estate, as the Executive Director mentioned, it's also the cryptocurrencies. It's about enabling our police forces to have the right licenses to go after that digital evolution and focusing on that. So I think that costs a lot of money. It asks a lot of investments also from our police services, but I think it's really worth it. We want to destabilize these networks, and of course you do that by having more boots on the ground with a little to enable to arrest the gangsters, let's say the little criminals in the port area whatsoever, but high until the top of the chain of the criminal network, and that's by investing also in that in these mechanisms, these tools to fight the profitable businesses. And I think we must really work on every element of the chain. It's an end-to-end approach, I would say. Also what we mentioned on the administrative approach to dismantle from the small night shops to the big businesses. I think that is important, and that's something that we, together with the Commission, with Europol, with the colleagues, have realized over the last years that we need to invest more and more in that. Thank you.
I just want to add exactly what Annelies just mentioned, that the criminal networks have this end-to-end control, and this has to be mirrored by law enforcement to have this comprehensive approach when it comes to the investigations. And just to give you one example, in the new legislation on the asset recovery and confiscation, we have this approach that the investigation on the financial aspect and the assets has to come in parallel to the investigation of the violence or the drug crime or what is the part of the crime. And this is important. And here, the expertise that is in Europol Financial Crime Center is really important and useful for member states.
Thank you. As we're running a bit out of time, I will take one last question. The lady in white.
Thank you. Nette Nustlinger for Reuters. I was wondering, Minister Van Tichelt has given us or named the most threatening networks active in Belgium. I was wondering, could this be done, or could you name some for the European level as well? And then with regards to the recent shootings in Brussels, I was wondering, could you tell us more, like, do you know how many there have been this year related to drug criminality and to which networks they are connected? Thank you.
At Europol, we work with the information shared with us by the national authorities, so I cannot mention any name of a criminal network. This has to be done by the national authorities. Thank you.
All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much once again for joining us. Europol's director, the commissioners and the ministers are available if you have any further questions in the lobby and in the side rooms. Thank you.
Just a moment ago, been on the perfectly go, kept following birthday view. I'm not told that I'm born to leave and step behind all the things people do as if it's all of mine. Now I won't, and isn't it funny to have a walk in sunlight? Then I get them out of my mind. Then all the things I used to do ain't gonna waste my precious time of thinking of what do I do. All trees go blossom, time is flying, days of spring will never come like these. I love the rain, it sounds die. They die away down on the street. They get me sometimes, drag out from the sky, and now I'm wondering how it was. Just a moment ago, been on the perfectly go, kept following birds a few. They flew in sunlight there. I get them out
All I see is blessings, got no time for stressing. Don't believe in failures in my life, it's only lessons. They just making room for what I'm on now. I don't got a clue, but I know the one who does know how. Oh wow. It's like I'm learning the game with the maker I already know now. Destiny has my name, no it's coming, it'll never go. I know that we all gonna be alright. We gon' make it through if it takes us all night. No matter what the odds may bring our way, I can see the blessings coming our way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way. Our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way.
I can't say that life's been perfect or complain, cause life's been worth it. And all because of who he is working, only working out for my God. And no more living in that fear, no more tears and no. Oh, he's working me and molding me, who he wants me to be.
I know that we all gonna be alright. We gon' make it through if it takes us all night. No matter what the odds may bring our way, I can see the blessings coming our way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way. Our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way. I can see the blessings, I can feel your presence. Leaning on the change in my heart for your endeavors. I pray I'm your reflection, I fiend for your correction. The cross brought the connection, and through Jesus is perfection. Life done hit me crazy, been more stressed than ever. Living like whatever, through the rain I feel you drawing closer. Lord make me better, take me, shape me, use me, I am yours. Take me, break me for the glory of the Lord. Okay, not only does he hold me when I'm down and feel I'm folding, he my coach when I'm the goat, he never lonely. Got that hope in he who holy, holy, holy. Keep that rugged cross all on me, need that spirit to control me. Seek that word to come and mold me, yeah. It's like I can feel the blessings coming my way. Yeah. It's like I can feel the blessings coming my way. I know that we all gonna be alright. We gon' make it through if it takes us all night. No matter what the odds may bring our way, I can see the blessings coming our way. Yeah. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way. Our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way. Yeah. I've never known a love so steady. Even gold won't turn your tide. We flow together like an ocean, every low and every high. And I would have you anyway, dear. Any way your heart could bear. Even if you had to leave me, I'd always be waiting here. Even when we are apart, I will keep you in my heart. And I wouldn't change a thing, even if I were the king. I've never known a brighter sunset, but every day I see it rise. I've never thought it could be better until I saw it in your eyes. Even when we are apart, I will keep you in my heart. I will hold the world at bay just to see you smile again. And when time begins to fade, I will love you just the same. And I wouldn't change a thing, even if I were the king.
I'm losing my mind for the sake of love. I've been trying to reveal it, what I've been so afraid of. Your coldness makes my heart go weak, so numb that I can barely speak. This pain keeps water in the sea. If I weren't so desperate to be free, I'd keep my distance, babe.